Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Astroworld Media Podcast. I am Mrs. Polini, the digital media teacher here at Allen B. Shepherd High School in Palos Heights. And today's topic is high school sports. Now that we are fast approaching the 1-year anniversary of the pandemic and the lockdown and how our life has been turned upside down, we want to focus today on what it's been like for our high school athletes. So I'm joined by several students in the digital media program, and I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves. Omar, let's start with you.
As you heard, I'm Omar. I've been part of Shepherd Cross and track for 4 years, and Shepherd Swim and Dive for 2 years.
Okay, and Omar is a senior, so this is his 4th year. And then another senior is Micha Smith.
Yes, my name is Micha, and I've been playing football for 4 years. I'm also a senior.
And then one more senior we have joining us today is Cindy Trybunia. Did I say that right, Cindy?
I'm a sophomore.
Oh, why did I think you were a senior? Okay, go ahead, Cindy. Tell us what sports you're involved in.
I'm involved in competitive cheerleading at Shepherd, and so far we've been doing really good.
Okay.
And I'm also academically smart.
And that's really the big challenge these days, I think, for you guys as athletes. Is it normally school is important and practice and all of that, but then having to juggle remote learning, which can be tougher on its own, plus, competing now. And we've changed so much in the last year. Our last person to join us here is Bernardo, who also is not a senior like Cindy. Bernardo, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
My name is Bernardo, and I've been involved in football for 2 years and Shepherd Swim and Dive for 2 years, along with track for 1 year, but I look forward to doing it again this year.
Good, okay. So let's let's rewind and let's go back a year and talk about what life was like. I mean, obviously, no one could have expected it to be like this. But when the lockdown happened back for us, March 13th, Omar, let's start with you. What was how did it affect your spring season?
Well, no one really saw it coming, so we weren't really prepared to make decisions we had to make. We had to cancel like every single meet. We had a trip to St. Louis the week of spring break, which was 2 weeks after the lockdown happened. And the day of the lockdown, we were going to have a big meet, and it all got canceled like within 2 hours. And it was just unbelievable. And like no one knew what to do. And everyone just decided just to train on their own. And it was all just solo like the whole season.
But the season never happened, correct?
Yeah, but kids were just still running on their own and stuff. I mean, just to have hope, just run and race if you can, like get a couple of your friends to do a race or two and have fun.
So that's good to know that you guys were still trying to maintain some sense of normalcy, even though, you couldn't compete in the normal way. And you being a senior, Omar, and I know you want to compete after high school, how tough was that, losing some of your senior year and in order to, for recruitment purposes, to get colleges to look at you?
Yeah, I definitely would have been faster if I had those 3 extra months, but I think it made me tougher as an athlete because it was all on my own. And recruiting wise, it was a lot of like virtual. The coaches couldn't come see me race. The coaches had to go off my times, and they couldn't really see what my true potential was because it was all on the screen. Like I could run 2:03 now, and before on paper I would run a 2:08. They wouldn't see that improvement on paper.
Well, and it's good that you could see the positive in
Right.
some of what's happened here. And a year ago, so much we shut down. We didn't know if we were going to cancel the season for you guys in the spring. But now, we've changed a couple courses different times too. We had fall season a little bit, but we postponed football. And so, which is starting next week. And Bernardo, you're on football now too.
Yeah, I'm on football. We just started like 2 weeks ago,
So
but
now,
I've been having to bounce like from football and swim since they're both at the same time. I just been having to like make time for both of them.
yeah, I was just going to say, because we had to cram all of these sports into, the last 3 months here, what's that been like bouncing back between football and swim?
It's been because I'd have to be either up early for swim or for football. Well, I mean, I didn't mind it, but it was just hard, like having to have like a practice at like 7 in the morning and come back and then do school. So it's been hard, but it's swim ends today, so I'm not really worried anymore.
And there's no playoffs for swim, is there?
No, it's just conference, and that's about it.
So you've lost that part of it where you can't compete to go
Yeah,
down
we
state.
lost regionals, sectionals, and state.
And how does that affect, like, you, Omar, as a senior? I mean, Bernardo can swim next year, and at least we can compete again next year,
Yeah.
hopefully. But how does that feel for seniors?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of like a leave it all out there. Like, don't wait for sectionals, because some kids, like in years before, they'll be like, "Oh, I'll go easier at conference just because I have sectionals on and be fresh." But like now, you don't know when it's going to be your last race, so you have to just leave it all out there every single time you can.
And for you guys, today is your last competition for swim,
Yeah.
right? So, and then so when we talk about football too, I can't remember IHSA. I think football is the same, Micah, right? With no playoffs.
No, and they shortened the season.
So then it's a shorter season. And how does that feel for you now that you guys have started, with official practices and your season's set to kick off officially next week?
I mean, I feel good about it. I think the only thing I don't like about the situation is that we don't have more opportunities. Like myself, I don't have opportunity to get like a scholarship if I wanted to, or if like all the other players have been like working over the off season, they don't get the opportunity to show off what they got for the final season, possibly get into college.
So then what do you guys do as seniors?
Basically we try we it's a really small window for like any of us to get a scholarship, considering the fact that other people that or other players that got scholarships, they're making their announcements like was Evan Josh just made his announcement going to Carthage 2 days ago. And like some players that are like really trying to get into college and they've been putting in the work in the off season, they might not get the opportunity considering the fact college starts in about 3 or 4 months.
And how does it feel when other states were able to play football in the fall and you guys weren't, and you're competing against those guys for scholarships and college?
I mean, when I have found out about this situation, because I know my cousin, he lives in Florida. He was playing football during the fall, and when I had found out, I was like, I was possibly going to try to move to Florida or something because I was trying to get into college and possibly play football in a higher level. So when I found out, I'm like, okay, so there might be hope for us. But then it was like, we'll move it on to December. Then they said January, and now we're starting March. So it's crazy. I didn't like this situation, but at the end of the day, I still get to play the sport that I like or the sport that I love. I grew up with.
And how's it feel now that you're, back in practices and looking forward to the first kickoff?
I mean, it feels great because it's been over a year since our last game. So I think I'm ready to play. So
Will it be weird playing in the spring and as opposed to, the fall?
now I wouldn't say it would be weird. It would be just something to adjust to again because I know I played spring football in 8th grade, but it's going to be much different considering the fact we don't have any fans or like we don't have any like band playing for us. So it's not going to be like something hard to adjust to, but it's just going to be a big different. It's going
A
to
big
be a
change.
huge. It's going to be a huge change. It's going to feel extremely off like it's like a video game. Somebody went to the settings and just turned off all the sound and all of that. It just feels it's gonna feel weird.
Well, now you're going to see what the professionals feel like when they're playing in empty stadiums and the fake crowd sounds being piped in. But Cindy can answer this question for me. So we have our first home football game for Shepherd next week. And will the cheerleaders, I know you've been competing, but will you be able to cheer on the sidelines like in a normal game?
I'm not too sure about that, but I know the coaches have been communicating with the football coaches. So possibly I would say there'd be a chance because on the team we were talking about it. I think for Fridays, we'd possibly be on the sidelines.
And how does that feel for you? I mean, I know competing is one part of what you guys do for your team, but how much do you guys want to be on the sidelines for a football game and cheer?
I say we really would want to be on the sidelines because it's like I'd say it's my favorite of the season, football season, because it was always late nights and we would just be seeing all the excitement, joy, and everything going on.
Yeah, and like Micha said, it's a big part of it for the players too, to have you guys there and the band. Cindy, talk about competing. So you guys, Shepherd's cheer team is as always phenomenal, and this year too is in a pandemic doing amazing things. How different has it been than what you guys did last year or what you normally do to practice and to compete?
I'd say we would normally have more practices than we do now, and COVID has affected a lot of the practices and team bondings we would normally have had. And competitions are just different now because we do not go to different schools to compete. We have to send in a video from our gym. And if we have spectators, there has to be a limited amount of spectators watching.
So now when you compete,
And it's just,
do you guys record? You don't get to edit the video. Do you have to do it live streamed, or is it just a recording and you upload it?
we just have to record and then we upload it. But most of the time we try doing it one and done.
Okay. Just like a real performance would be, a real competition.
Yeah.
And then you guys go to state this weekend, correct?
Yes, we just filmed for state and we'll be finding out the results on Saturday.
So now
since we're the last meeting.
Will there be an award ceremony? Like, normally you'd be sitting there with all the other teams from all around the state waiting to find out who got what. How is that going to work this year?
The award ceremony will be virtual through our phones or electronics. We'll be having to wait for the results through there. So we wouldn't be sitting with our team or family or anything.
That's different.
Yeah.
All right. So looking ahead, we've talked a lot about how you guys have had to adjust. And I think all of our athletes have done a phenomenal job of adjusting to the pandemic. And I think we all want to just play. So I think everyone, wearing masks. How about that? How difficult has it been to compete wearing masks on the field or on the floor?
I'd say at first, it was a little challenging because especially when you're running, you can't really breathe much and it's just uncomfortable. And then you gotta deal with sweaty masks, and then you gotta keep changing it. So it's just a lot of adapting and being patient.
Well, I know during football, we have to wear our masks over our faces, but it's like really complicated because they like put your mask over your face and put your mouthpiece on. But I know some of the players, their mouthpieces are connected to the helmets. So it's like really, you have to like lift your mask from underneath and put your mouth guard in. And when we're doing our conditioning, when we do our sprints, it'd be really complicated to breathe because we got this thick piece of cloth over our face, and we're trying to like catch our breath. It's like really complicated to do it. But they'd be like, if we do it in the game, we gotta do it in practice. So if he's pushing us hard during practice, it wouldn't be a problem during the game.
Yeah, I forgot about the whole mouth guard thing, how difficult that must be. You guys are
It's
always
it's like
spitting it
weird.
out and
It's weird because I know I have to go to Walmart. I'm gonna go to Walmart. I have to get the actual like the one piece instead of like putting it on my face guard. I'm gonna just get the one piece. It'll be much easier.
oh, that shameless plug from Walmart. Thank you, Micah. Let's look ahead. So Omar and Micah are seniors, but Cindy and Bernardo, what do you guys think? What do you hope that sports will look like for you guys in the 2021-22 school year?
For the 2021 and 2022 year, I was hoping that it would go back to normal, but I doubt it will be because it's still like over a year around and nothing has really changed besides the vaccine. And I would just say that I would love if we would have competitions regularly and we would be able to go to schools and compete them and team bondings. And then for wearing masks, that's just a big issue because I have asthma, so it affects me most of the time.
And that could be difficult to compete. I mean, I know that your team has matching, and part of it is your look for competition for cheer, so you guys all have matching masks and, because it's almost like your uniform, right? Now it's part of your uniform. And then Bernardo, how about you? What do you think next year's what do you hope for what it looks like next year for sports?
I hope for a better crowd. I mean, it's not just for me, but I know like with most athletes, the crowd like really affects like how they play and like how they do in their sport. So that's one thing that I know it's not just me that hopes for, but I know other people would agree with the fact that we need a better crowd.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to throw shade that like the crowd we have is like bad or none. It's just so limited that I feel like it'd be better. Like you'd be able to have. It wasn't just something that athletes enjoyed. It was something like staff, students, families, and now everything's so limited. It kind of just like sucks because you can't have like your whole family come watch you play. You'd have to have like one or two people come, and it's just like, oh.
Right. And then for swim and dive, I know they were live streaming it on Facebook, so at least people at home can watch. But it's just not the same for the athletes or for the families. And with that in mind, just this week, the IHSA said that if we're in phase 4, which we are in Cook County, that we can now increase we can have 20% people capacity at outdoor sports. So that means football games, in theory, we should be able to now not limit it to just 50. I think we had initially said each player could have like one person come to the game or two people, but now we're up to 20% of our field. So obviously, what you're saying, Bernardo, is true because, and Omar and Micah and Cindy, about having people and that teamwork, the camaraderie, that's a huge part of high school sports, is being able to be with people and have people cheer you on.
Yeah, I agree with Bernardo. Even though we do get fans, it's like it's not enough. It's like we really need like when it's crunch time, we need the extra push, and the fans usually do that. Because I know last year we had some moments where the fans weren't there, we was gonna lose the game by like multiple points. Especially when we played Lightning, and the last play we needed the fans to like push us, and we ended up getting the job done. So I feel like without the fans, it wouldn't be the same. It would be like we'll be struggling more.
Yeah. 12th man, I think is what they call it, right? The person, that additional person that's not on the field that helps you succeed. All right. Is there anything else you guys want to comment on? We've talked a lot about what life is like for you and moving forward. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up here?
I feel like we covered everything. Yeah, I feel like we covered.
And I think one thing that is difficult for people outside of the school setting to realize is how much you guys have to deal with. I know several of you have jobs as well. And most of you are honors, AP, and even just struggling with remote learning in general is not easy. Plus, like Bernardo said, getting up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. to come in to practice and then go home and then do remote learning and then come back after school. I just don't think, that high school athletes get as much appreciation for realizing what a full-time double job you guys are doing right now, and on top of dealing with the issue of the pandemic. So first, I want to thank you guys all for participating and talking. You guys added so much, and hopefully people will realize how tough and how really resilient high school athletes are, because you just want to compete. So you guys will do anything to just get on the field and get on the floor and get in the pool and run and compete. So congratulations to you guys for at least making it through the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this wraps up another edition of our podcast. Again, thanks to our participants for sharing their experiences, and we look forward to the next edition of the Astroworld Media Podcast.